But, Azim, we've got to start with young Vaibhav. What was that? Have you seen anything like that on a cricket pitch before? A 14-year-old smashing a 35-ball century in the biggest T20 tournament in the world.
Man, I don't think there's any logic to describe that. There really isn't. I think we talked about him when he got picked in the auction, and we were like, look, clearly incredibly talented. Seen a few clips online. Make sure, he's looked after, make sure he's supported. And then he comes in first game, backs away, smashes over extra cover for 6, and you're like, wow, this is going to be interesting. I mean, little do you realise, a week later, he's going to hit the second fastest IPL 100. And, I think, listen, it's incredible what he's done. But in a way, when you're young, you don't see what can go wrong. There is no fear, right? So from a mental point of view, I don't, actually, in a way, he goes in there, what is there to lose? But the physical nature of it, that's what shocked me in the first game. But then to go and do this, and score 100, and he's hitting sixes, proper, 90-meter sixes. Rashid Khan, yeah? And it's like, there's no sense of, right, I'll get myself to my 100. All right, I'll whack it out of the ground again. Just incredible. It makes you, it brings so much joy to all of us watching that, because that is what, that is the unbelievable nature of our game. You just want to exercise some caution because you just want the kid to be looked after. And, we're going to talk about prodigies and stuff, but God, my Lord, let's get carried away. Wow. I don't know where this career is going to go, but luckily, hopefully, we're going to get to view it, for next, however long he plays. But what an incredible time for him and his family.
Yeah, you're right. Let's get carried away, but we will talk about not getting too carried away a little bit as well in a couple of minutes. But at the moment, let's get carried away. You're right. And you are right. There are two elements to it, aren't there? There's the mental aspect and the physical aspect. And I was thinking about this a few minutes ago as well. What impresses me more, if it is the mental side or the physical side? And when I think back to when I was 14, and I obviously didn't play professional cricket, and I was playing for the Hampstead Cricket Club's second team, and the big thing for me was everything felt really fast. 70-mile-an-hour bowlers seemed really fast. You didn't know how to catch up with the game. It took you a while to do that. You certainly weren't able to hit sixes out the ground. That is extraordinary, isn't it? The fact that he is able to catch up with the speed of the game, because he won't have faced 85-mile-an-hour bowlers when he was playing before that very much. I would imagine he only made his professional debut for Bihar, which would have been a notch below this in standard-wise, in November last year. So how has he been able to come in and catch up with the speed of the game against international bowlers bowling 85 mile an hour so quickly?
I think it's a testament to all his coaches in his development. Obviously I don't know who he's been working with, etc., but clearly whoever he's been working with, has prepared him in a manner to be ready to play at this level, which is why he's been able to do it. There will be some unsung heroes in there. And I've seen some clips now of him when he was younger. Like, the one thing that really impresses me about young Indian players and throughout the system, and I think, again, I've spoken about this before because I watched them live, their basics are so good that this extension, this positivity just becomes, an extension of their basics. This is a bit boring for some people, but you look at his base, you look at his, his swing, the way he moves, the way he reacts to the ball. And that's what it seems like it's throughout the system in India. It starts off with that. But, clearly, in terms of the pace and stuff, he hasn't just gone from, facing 60, 70 mile an hour to 80 odd without any training and done that. Clearly, there's been a lot of work that's gone in. He's ahead of his time, without a shadow of a doubt. And that development and that training would have been, if like I'm working with a 14-year-old right now, but the way I'm sort of working with him is not a view to him being a 14-year-old, with a view to him being ready if he's put into a scenario where he's going to be playing proper cricket. And so clearly, whoever he's been working with, a lot of credit to them. And as I said, there'll be a lot of unsung heroes. But as a system, as a whole, Indian system, you look at their batters, and you look at each and every one of them. Right, good solid technique. Jaiswal, who he was batting with, again, solid technique, but just an extension and just hitting it out the ground at such ease. And it's something we in England really need to learn from, because I think it's out of our game. It's gone because it's been seen as too boring. But the base is base. Look at Shubman Gill. So many of them, I could just reel them out. Proper techniques, yet still able to hit the ball a long way.
I should just say I wasn't in any way trying to compare myself to Vaibhav Suryavanshi. I was just trying to make a point there about, the difference when you're 14 to when you're a man. It is huge physically, isn't it? I mean, you must remember when you were a kid coming through the ranks at Yorkshire, and you were a very good young player. You captained England at under 19 level. But when you were around that age, and he's only just turned 14, he was signed when he was 13. When you were around that age, do you remember when you were playing, men's cricket, you were all rounder as well. So you got both aspects of it with batting and bowling. It must have felt like you were a world away from the men's game at that stage.
Yeah, it's actually weird. Like, I went from playing sort of league cricket to playing first team cricket very quickly. But also, as I was part of an under-19 World Cup trial match for a couple of years above me, and I faced Stuart Meeker at Loughborough. And that was quick. That was proper quick. And you felt the difference. But thing is, if you'd been in the, I'd been lucky. I'd played very young, trained very young, but my primary skill was bowling. So when I went into the Yorkshire dressing room as a 14-year-old, you had all the stars there, and in the one thing that was very, very clear in the indoor nets was how hard the ball was hit. But actually, as I said at the start, it didn't bother me. Like, I just, get stuck in. But it was very clear that there was a big difference. But my primary skill I felt comfortable at, but batting, initially it was like, right, I mean, in my second team debut game, I faced Tino Best and Robbie Joseph at Beckenham, wow. And on a fast pitch, and Beckenham is renowned to be one of the quicker, pitches in the country. Watching, proper, first team players get hit on the head. So that was.
Were you scared?
Yeah, going in, I was scared. But once you sort of in the battle, I mean, depending on your character as well, once you're in the battle, I ain't gonna back away, right? I was gonna get right in line. It sort of suited me well, because for me, that was me going, you know what, I belong here. I'm gonna get really stuck in, no expectations, and in a 4-day game, what did success look like? Well, you know what, if I batted for 20 minutes, that's what success looked like. So actually, from a mental point of view, there was less pressure. But from a physical point of view, if I get hit, and I'm gonna have to drop this in. But in my second first class game, I got 100 at Worcester, and they had Kabir Ali, Gareth Batty, Ashley Nofke from Australia, and he hit me on the head a couple of times, 2 or 3 times. And, so it's when you're young, I think you're sort of, the physical aspect is what affects you more than the actual mental aspect. And then as you get older, fear and all of these things and everything else creeps in. And then, then you start to see the world as it is a bit more, as opposed to, I'm here to have a great bit of laugh.
Yeah, I mean, listen, you are right, I guess, on that front. And what you did was amazing in the second team at that age. That's incredible. This is like even another level, isn't it? And we're talking about the physical aspect being very impressive, but the mental aspect as well. And now that he's done this, that's only going to get harder, isn't it? Because the whole of India is going to be on him, and to a lesser extent, that the cricket appreciating world globally are going to be looking out for his name, what he's doing. Is it important now that we don't expect too much from this kid? We can't expect him to go out and do this every game.
Yeah, I mean, I'm gonna just how do I spell his name? I'm gonna check his Instagram following, and that will give us how do I spell it? Go on, Matt, help me out.
Suryavanshi. Maybe he's not on social media. Maybe he's not allowed on social media by his
Nah, he
parents.
is.
He's
He
that
is.
young.
I've seen him. Maybe this is not his real page because this only has 19,000 followers. That can't be real. Um,
Only. I mean, that's still pretty decent, isn't it?
well, I mean, look, yesterday, look, I saw everyone tweet about him. In terms of your thing, I mean, it's only going to get harder. There's absolutely no doubt about that. And I think he could not ask for a better mentor sat in his dugout. And I hope someone actually, Rahul Dravid, actually, grabs him and his family a little bit and just becomes their go-to person because he's going to have every Tom, Dick, and Harry, in his ear. And look, the reality is got to go back to school. School friends. There's going to be so many things he's going to have to deal with. And yeah, it's going to be a real challenge for him. It's not going to be easy. It's going to be really difficult, but it's moments like that where if you can have a support network with the likes of Rahul Dravid, then yeah, hopefully we're going to see him for many many years, and the conveyor belt keeps going.
I found him. I found him. He's got 1.3 million on
Yeah.
Instagram
There you go.
already. I'd love to see how much that's gone up in the last few days.
Yeah, so that's my point. There was no way that was that was real, was it? 1.3 million followers as a 14-year-old. That in itself, social media is one of the biggest challenges of our age. For young kids, for everyone. Um, that is pressure right there. Just going to press the follow button. He's got another one.
Oh yeah, I'd be really pleased. Now you're following him,
Yeah,
mate.
good.
That's the one he wanted. Let's talk about child prodigies in general, then, because there have been a long line of them, right? And some of them have gone on to bigger and better and amazing things, and some of them haven't, right? So obviously, Sachin is the big one, isn't he? He made his first class debut at 15 years old for Bombay, as it was called then, Mumbai now. Got 100 on his first class debut at 15. Amazing. Test debut at 16. I remember him being over here when he was a young 17-year-old at Lords in a test match. I don't think he got many runs in that test, but I remember him taking a spectacular running catch one-handed in from like long on or long off, not diving, like just picking it up one-handed, just close to the ground. I remember that, and I think he got 100 on that tour as well. So Sachin, obviously, he's the gold standard, isn't he, for child prodigies? Became the greatest batter in the history of the game. So listen, Sachin is the one, but there are quite a few others, aren't there, that didn't go on and have amazing international careers. What about Hassan Raza? Remember him?
Yeah, I do remember him. Yeah, I mean, didn't really go on to do anything really. But also, Sachin's friend Cambly, they were together. So you see, you actually there is a great example of one end and then the other end. Even though he went on to still play for India and stuff like, but a lot of people from that time talk about how talented Cambly was, and they don't think he fulfilled his potential. There's not many you can really think of because it's an incredible thing to play so early anyway. But if you got a little bit sort of later, like probably like under 19 and stuff, I think to sort of Umuk Chand, who was at one point, seen as sort of the next belt after Virat Kohli. So there's many sort of, I guess, names that don't, and look, professional cricket's not easy. There's so many, and that's why we talk about the caution. There's going to be so many challenges that come his way now, and the more and more it will become about the mental aspect and less about the physical aspect. Prithvi Shaw, we've spoken about him and the challenges that he's currently having in his, and he was seen as, someone that was going to go on and have an incredible career. So, yeah, I can't really think of many more than that, to be honest.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of them tend to be Asian because Asian batters in particular seem to get given opportunities earlier than they do in the places like England and Australia, South Africa. Just to put a bit more meat on the bone about Hassan Raza, he made his Test debut at 14. 14. He actually scored 27 in his innings, which is not bad. If you're 14, you are taking 27. I'm taking 27 on Test debut at 26. I'm
Taking
not, so
27
you're taking
balls.
it.
Taking 27 balls,
Yeah.
never mind the runs.
27 ball single figure score. I will take
Happy
that.
with that.
But interestingly, he never played. He played one more test in the next 4 years, and he eventually played 7 in total. He got a couple of 50s, averaged 26. But his first class record was actually pretty good. He got 30 odd hundreds, I think, and he averaged in the 40s. So that kind of, it's almost like a very Pakistani selection there, isn't it? You pick a guy when he's 14, he makes his Test debut, and then you don't pick him again for a few years, even though he has a good first class career eventually.
I mean, you said it. I was going to say the same. It's very Pakistan cricket there, isn't it? Just, I mean, I didn't follow it at that, around that time, so I wouldn't know what was going on exactly. But yeah, it's not too dissimilar to what we see now. Yeah, just sad. Forget Pakistan cricket for now. Too sad to talk about.
I'll tell you what also is sad is Camberley, though. Camberley,
Yeah.
he was Sachin's schoolmate. The fact they were famously involved in that partnership of world record partnership at the time of 664 when Sachin was 14 and Camberley was 16 for St. Xavier's Fort School in Mumbai. So he was, in many ways, was actually the sort of bigger prodigy than Sachin. And he went on to play 17 tests. He got 2 double hundreds, one against England at the Wankhede Stadium in a test match, one against Zimbabwe, and he averaged 54, I think, at the end of those 17 test matches. But he played his last test at 23. So he is one of the great wasted talents, isn't he?
Yeah, it's it happens. Like I said, there's so much that goes on. You grow up, a lot of other distractions and stuff, which which clearly has happened. Priorities change, and then you're not progressing the way you'd want to. Professional sport is difficult. There's a lot of challenges that come with it, and also there's a lot of luck you need. The reality is the timing and luck plays a big factor as well. Yeah, but not everyone does achieve their full potential. That's just reality of life as well, I think.
Yeah, no, you're right, exactly. Camberley actually had a few disciplinary problems. He had an issue with drinking, I believe, and health problems. It's quite sad what happened to him in the end. He never fulfilled his potential, and I hope he's doing okay, because the last time someone showed me a video of him actually not long ago in India, and he was not in a good place physically at that time. So I hope he's all right at the moment. In terms of English players, when you think of it, there weren't that many young prodigies of that level, right, on the sort of global stage. I mean, we were talking before this, weren't we? And Mark Ramprakash was a brilliant young prodigy, but in England, he played above his age groups, coming through the Colts, and he was the sort of young superstar. I remember Nasser Hussain always telling me that Ramps played in the same year group as Athers and Nasser, and he was like a world ahead of them in terms of ability at that stage. He was the young superstar. They were all playing for England under 19, under 15s, I guess, and then up to under 19s, but Ramps was the one who was well above. And then obviously Nasser and Athers had better international careers than Mark Ramprakash did in the end. Alistair Cook, he was quite a young prodigy, but again, he wouldn't have been heard of outside of England, coming through, and he was the under-19 captain eventually. Stephen Peters, do you remember him? He was a real gun for Essex. I remember he was Essex's youngest first-class centurion. He was a couple of years older than me, so I remember everyone talking about him, being the best player in England at the time, and he must have played for under-19s when he was quite young, I think, and he got 100 as a teenager. I think he was Essex's youngest ever first-class centurion. He played in the under-19 World Cup side that won the World Cup with Kesey and Owe Shah and all those guys. Flintoff, did he play in that? In 97, 98, but never really kicked on. He played for Essex, Northants, Worcestershire. But why is it that English players, we don't really have that sort of prodigy level that you get in places like India? Is it because we view age a bit differently? We view it as more of a barrier, whereas in India and Pakistan and other Asian countries, the view is if you're old enough, you're good enough.
I think, look, I mean, Rehan Ahmed is the youngest English Test cricketer at 18. So that there's a big difference between that and a lot of the subcontinent teams. I think because a bit more structured. You go through age groups and then you go to the next level, then you go to the next level. There's no spotting someone like Wasim Akram in the nets and like he's playing the Test match. So you've got to earn your stripes. That type of mentality a lot more. If you do it at one level, right, let's take him to the next level, see how he gets on, he or she gets on. So it's very following a process and not really sort of veering away from that. Also, I think, as we talked about in the previous one, there is the age factor, but there is the amount of cricket. And on the subcontinent, a 14, 15-year-old subcontinent player will have played, maybe not the same level, equivalent cricket to potentially 22, 23-year-old, player in England. All year round, play all day, no such thing as bat for an hour, bit of thingy and go home. It's like, school and then just play. So I think that allows subcontinent players in terms of their, the cricket playing experience to be ahead of the curve, ahead of their time. So I think combining factors are a big reason for it, to be honest.